What's up, my fasters? Dr. LeGrand here, and welcome to another fasting video. In this video, I am actually going to be transitioning, showing a presentation I did a while back on how to lose weight with fasting, but it is a very extensive video, so I'm cutting it up in clips for you guys, kind of small bits, because there's like about probably about seven actually different topics within this big presentation. And so the first one I'm going to talk about is calories, restriction diets versus fasting, and kind of explaining the science behind it, why it doesn't work and why fasting does work, and those kind of type of things. So if you're your first time on our channel and you don't want to miss any of the other types of videos within this presentation, like I said, there's going to be about 7 different ones, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of future videos. All right, enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive right into the presentation. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you later. Let's get started. What happens is that we complicate things when it comes to weight loss. All these new fad diets come out, the Atkins diet, the Weight Watchers diet, the South Beach Watch diet, the low carb diet, the high carb diet, the low calorie diet. I mean, there's so many different diets that it makes people just confused. It's just complicating things when it really can be simplified in a form versus just trying to complicate it and trying to blanket where one diet fits for all, which is just not true. We're all very specific and individualized. So why don't they work? Why don't they work? I'm sure a lot of you have probably tried it. I know I have. I've tried quite a few different diets myself, specifically doing the low-calorie diet and losing some weight. The thing is, with all these diets, they do successfully help you lose weight. The problem is keeping it off. Keeping it off, and then what happens is you gain it back, and more so. So why is that, and why is it not working for people? Well, there's a couple ways I want to explain this. First, talking about, yes, calories. When you talk about, talking about calories and counting calories, that could just be frustrating all in itself, but a lot of these fad diets kind of, in a way, incorporate a lot of this. Whether it is changing a different type of, whether it's high or low carbs, or trying to change the amount or the better quality of types of calories that you're putting in and taking out, all those kind of things. But when we look at if we think about a factory, and we think about calories as like a factory. So back in the day, when we were trying to get energy, produce energy, you think of a coal factory. They would be producing, energy through coal. So if you think about calories like coal, food is energy. That's how we use it. So calories in, calories out. And the thing is, there's only a certain amount of demand that the factory needs to produce energy for a city, okay? And you only need to produce so much. But when there's a higher demand, there needs to be more calorie intake. The problem is like, let's say you start cutting back the power. Like people start not using electricity, you don't need as much coal. So the metabolic rate, or at least the energy that is needed, is lower. You don't need as much coal. You're not requiring as much coal to come in, so therefore you're going to not burn. You're not going to set the knobs as high. It's the same with our body. If we start doing a low calorie intake, start decreasing the low calorie intake, our metabolic rate, our metabolism also plummets, because our body gets used to only taking so much expenditure. So that's why a lot of these low calorie diets, when you start, okay, I've done this low calorie diet for a while, done for a couple months, I've lost some weight, good. Let's go back to where I was eating normally. Well, what happens? The body was used to only burning off so much. And it takes a while to bring your metabolic rate. Same with the factory. If they just dumped a bunch of coal in the factory and they've had all their presets of burning at a lower rate, it's gonna back up, and it's gonna be stored. All the coal is gonna be stored. Just same with our fat. Our body's gonna turn into fat and store it, and therefore you're gonna gain the weight back, and even more so. Now, if you're somebody that's always consistently eating already a high amount of calories, usually you'll tend to have a higher metabolic rate, depending all based off of genetics, right? So it kind of goes back to there. But there's always a threshold. So same with like the factory. There's a threshold of how high you could turn up the heat, how it was engineered, and how efficient it is. Same with our bodies, how our genetics are. So everybody's different. Because some people we find, how come he or she can eat all this food and I eat just, a slice of pizza and I gain 2 pounds? Like, what's with that? That's unfair. Well, yes, it all goes back to really genetics and how over the times, I mean, diets you've done, how much you've messed up your metabolism, it goes back to that. So what can we do? What, as far as trying to change that and reverse that, really, what you guys all came out here tonight is about fasting. Now, fasting has shown in research that it does increase our metabolism. Now, why that is, and I'm going to explain here in a minute of why fasting actually does increase metabolism versus the low-calorie diets and a lot of the other fat diets that do lower your metabolism, is because it is going to be switching your body to burning fat for fuel versus sugar for fuel. So if we look at, I like this analogy by Jason Fung. He's a medical doctor. He's a nephrologist up in Canada, and he worked with diabetics and obese patients, helping with them. And he is a big proponent on fasting. So what I like about this analogy, if we think about the fridge as glycogen storage. Now, glycogen storage is basically when we eat carbs, sugar, it turns into glucose, and then it moves over to our liver and into our muscle tissue, and it stores it as glycogen storage. So the thing is, when we're storing it in our liver or in our muscle tissue and other tissue, and we're deciding to do, okay, let's do a low-calorie diet. The problem with that is you never really, you might cut back a little bit, but you never are really depleting the glycogen storage because you always have stock in the fridge. Because whenever you have the stock in the fridge, you're always just going to go to the fridge. We're not moving to the freezer yet. The freezer is where all the fat storage is. So we're going to stick with, the fridge. As long as there's something stocked in, that's with the low-calorie diet. It doesn't require as much energy, but as long as you keep on doing that, you're going to still have issues trying to burn off the fat. And that's the ultimate goal, is trying to burn off the fat. So, you might add a little bit more, and then you might take up more. But until you really deplete at least a good amount of the glycogen storage in your liver and muscle tissue, then we can move to the freezer. Freezer takes a little bit more effort, so the freezer is like our fat storage that we turn. So a lot of times when we get an overload of glycogen storage, then of course it turns into our fat and so forth. And the way to get rid of this is, again, the fat storage by implementing fasting is what we call as ketosis, where it breaks down the fat cells, the ketone bodies, and starts breaking away the fat, what we want. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you liked this video, give us a big thumbs up, share with your family and friends. I'm curious about your guys' opinion when it comes to calorie restriction diets versus fasting. What are your thoughts? Do you think still calorie restrictions do apply and fasting, or doing a combination of both? What are your thoughts? Go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. And then if this is your first time on our channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button over here. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the other future videos that we're going to be doing as far as this big live presentation that I did. And then I'll leave some other links over here that you can check out if you have missed those videos. Until next time, this is Dr. LeGrand signing out. Thanks. Bye.